All right, so now that we've done surface area of prisms, we're going to move on to doing surface area of pyramids. Again, surface area is the sum of the areas of all the faces measured in square units. So we're going to find each two-dimensional shape we see and calculate its area. So for the first one, the square pyramid, kind of helps you out by telling you it's a square pyramid, so there should be a square in the figure. And I can see the square here on the bottom because it shows me two dimensions that are 16. So we have one square. If you need that reference sheet again, you should pull that out. A square, the area was side squared. So 16 squared, which is 256. So that takes care of the shape on the bottom. Now if I look at the rest of the faces on that pyramid, I actually see triangles. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. And they're all the same size because we have a square on the bottom. So they all have a 16 as a base, and they'll all have that 17 as a height. So I have 4 triangles. I'll write that out. Formula for area of a triangle, if you remember, is 1/2 base times height. So this triangle is probably the easiest to look at in terms of what the base and the height are. The base is 16 and the height is 17. Half of 16 is 8. Bring down that 17 I haven't used. And 8 times 17 is 136. Now that's just for one triangle. If you remember, we said we have 4. So I'm going to take that 136, multiply it by 4, and we get 544. Last step is just to add the areas together. We have the square and the 4 triangles. We get 800. Remember, surface area is square units. We're not doing volume here. We're not counting cubic unit. We're back to doing a bunch of areas, and areas are always square units. All right, that's the square pyramid. The square pyramid's nice because we have one square and then 4 triangles that are the same. A rectangular pyramid is going to be a little bit harder. So again, they help us out by telling us the base. Tells us we have a rectangle. So I'm looking for that rectangle on the bottom. It does help when you highlight sometimes so you can see the actual dimensions. So let's start with rectangle. Area of a rectangle is length times width. So in yellow here, I see the 12 and the 8. Times 8 is 96. That takes care of the rectangle. Now, I do see 4 triangles again. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? However, they're not all going to be the same this time. In the square they were because every single one of these sides were 16. But in a rectangle, I have a 12 here with that 12 back here. I have an 8 here with an 8 over here. So I have 4 triangles, but I have 2 that are the same in the front and back, and 2 that are the same on the left and right. So I'm going to do them separately. I'm going to write 2 triangles, and another 2 different triangles. All right, formula for area of a triangle. 1/2 base times height. I'll be using that for both, so I'll just write it out now. All right, let's pick a triangle to start with. I'm going to start with, I don't know, this one out in front, I guess. In blue, which is the same as the blue one in the back. Okay, I'm not gonna highlight just because it starts to get a little crazy looking with all the colors. But in this blue triangle, the base, the bottom is 12, times the height is that dashed line coming through, which tells me it's 10. Half of 12 is 6. Bring down that 10. 6 times 10 is 60. That's one triangle. Don't forget I have 2, so I'm going to multiply that by 2, and we get 120. Okay, that takes care of the blue triangle in the front with the matching one in the back. Now I'm going to do a different triangle. I'm going to do the triangle on this right-hand side here in orange. Remember, it's going to be the same as the one on the left. All right, so if I look at that orange triangle, the bottom of the orange triangle is 8. How tall it is, look for that dashed height coming through, which is the 12. Half of 8 is 4, and 4 times 12 is 48. Can't forget that I have 2 of them, so I'm going to multiply by 2, which is 96. My final step is to add all those together. So 96 plus 120 plus the 96, which gives me 312 square meters. All right, looks like a lot of work. It's a matter of picking out all the different shapes in there. All right, last type of pyramid we'll do is the triangular prism. Pyramid, I mean. So, looking for the triangle on the bottom. Here it is. Okay. So I have one triangle on the bottom. Let's just start with that one and then we'll talk about the other ones. So 1/2 base times height. All right, looking at the blue triangle, the bottom looks like it's 10. And the height, look for that little right angle and that dashed line going through, they tell us is 8.7. Half of 10 is 5. Bring down that times 8.7. And 5 times 8.7 is 43.5. All right, that takes care of the triangle on the bottom. Now, they're gonna make these pretty nice on you. They could give you a triangle where all 3 sides are different, but most of the time they're not, because that just gets really complicated and tedious and just too long to do a problem. So if I look at my blue triangle, this side's 10, so is that side. Oh, so is that third side. That's awesome that they did that. They gave us an equilateral triangle, which now means all the triangles that are going towards the top are all the same size. So I see 1, 2, 3 other triangles, which makes sense because the triangle on the bottom is 3 sides, so there should be 3 triangles coming off. All right, let me highlight one of these. I'm going to highlight the one that shows the height. That's this one. So I can see that dashed line going through again with that right angle. So area, 1/2 base times height. In that orange triangle, the base, the bottom is 10. The height going through it, they tell us, is 12. Half of 10 is 5. And 5 times 12 is 60. We're not done. Don't forget we said we had 3 of those. So we're going to do 60 times 3, which gives us 180. Final step, add the faces together. So I have that 43.5 plus the 180 I just found. And we get 223.5 square feet. Those are the only pyramids they'll ask you. They're not going to ask you about a trapezoidal pyramid. Again, it's not that it's difficult, it's that there's just too many pieces and it would take you like 20 minutes to get one done. So they'll probably give you a square pyramid or a rectangular pyramid or a nice triangular pyramid where you have an equilateral triangle on the bottom. There's 3 of those for you to practice. I'm going to move on. I'm only going to do a couple of these because, again, these are a lot of work. So now we have a composite solid that we're finding the surface area of. We had done this with volume. I have a rectangular, or looks like a square prism on the bottom and a square pyramid up top. So the only thing we have to be careful of, like I'll kind of shade in this a little bit for you to see this spot here. We don't need the area of that because that's on the inside. We just want what's on the outside, like we're wrapping a present. All right, so let's start by finding some shapes. I'm gonna go from the bottom and work my way up. So the shape on the bottom. I see it has dimensions 12 and 12, making it a square. Area of a square is side squared. So 12 squared. Remember, we're not doing 12 times 2, that's saying 12 times 12, which is 144. All right, that takes care of the bottom. Now, I'm about to continue wrapping my present. I need to do this side in yellow here. Now, let's think about this. How many of those do I have in my picture? Well, because I have a square on the bottom, where all the sides are 12, that means that I'm going to have 4 of those rectangles all the same size. Okay, so 4 rectangles. Rectangle, length times width. So 12 times 9, which is 108. Remember, we said we have 4 of them, so we're going to multiply by 4 and get 432. All right, so I've wrapped the bottom. I've wrapped these 4 sides. Now I need to wrap the top. The top, I can see a nice triangle up here. I see 1, 2, 3 other triangles. So the question is, are they the same size? Are they different sizes? Well, let's think about this here. If there's a 12 down here, then this must also be 12 up here. If there's a 12 down here, then this must also be 12 up here. Remember that orange shape was a square? which means up here we have another square. So all these sides are 12, meaning all these 4 triangles will be the same, which is great. It's going to save us a lot of time. So 4 triangles. All right, area of a triangle, 1/2, base times height. Okay, I'm looking at that blue triangle, remember, because that was 12, so that's the base. Height is that line with the right angle, so that's 10. Half of 12 is 6. And 6 times 10 is 60. Let's not forget we said we have 4 of those. So we get 240. All right, last step. We have all the pieces now. We just need to add them all together. And we get 816 square meters. All right. You have one of those to try, exactly the same but with different numbers in them. We were nice and gave you a square on the bottom. If we'd given you a rectangle on the bottom, it'd be a lot more complicated. So try one of those, and that's it.